What up, YouTube? We got another PC build video. Coincidentally, it's been 5 years since I built a PC, but it's time for me to build a new one. This video is probably going to be a long documenting building a PC, so I have plenty of time to ramble on about why I'm building a PC. But I have most of the components here. Graphics card's not coming until next week, but I figured I'd go ahead and get started on building. So yeah, let's get right to it. Okay, so I decided on this build I was going to build a totally new computer and replace all my parts. If you look at my last build from 5 years ago, I didn't do that. I reused a lot of my parts. But I want to keep my current computer intact for several reasons. And my PC case too is kind of archaic, because that PC case is 10 years old now, and they have some different things they do with PC cases for the newer equipment. So the common theme to most of the equipment I bought is because it was on sale at NewEgg. NewEgg's having a some sort of sale. I forget what the sale's even called, but it actually hasn't even started yet. It starts on Monday, but they're having like a pre-sale where they guarantee the prices on what you buy for certain items. So I shopped around with those pre-sale items, and basically what caused me to pull the trigger overall is that I was able to get a decent 4080 graphics card for $1,000. But yeah, so this case was on sale. I'll put in the title here what case it is. It was on sale. I really like the Fractal Designs case, but one thing I noticed about them is they didn't include the fans, and that was going to end up costing quite a bit of money. So this was on sale. Should I ASMR taking the glass off peeling the protector off the glass? I'm gonna wait. This is pretty cool. It has a magnetic filter. Man, those are tight. That one came undone. Oh, it hinges. That's different than my other case. I guess I'll put this in here to protect it. Well, it's definitely different. The whole power tray is hidden. And hard drives are hidden too. That's kind of weird. You got to reach really back in there to get to the hard drive base. Do you get to it from the back, I guess? Yeah, I guess you get to the hard drive base and the power supply from the back. Okay, I'm going to start off by installing the power supply into the case. Bought the power supply on sale too. It's a Corsair, which is the same as the case, 1000 watt. I calculated that really I only need a 850 watt for my graphics card, so I figured I'd just size up just to be safe. You know, before this, I was watching my previous 2 PC build videos, and I have a 550 watt power supply in my current build. That's 10 years old. It's from the build from 10 years ago. And on there, I don't know, I recalled that a coworker was bragging to me about how he had an 1100 watt power supply. Off the top of my head, I don't know what coworker that was. I kind of think I know where I was working at when I said that, but that's still seems a bit overkill nowadays because these big graphics cards only require 850 watts. But I remember, I thought it was funny, I pointed that out in that video that he was bragging. And like I said, that 550 watt power supply I had did the job this whole entire time. Yes, so these are totally modular now. You only use the cables you need to use. And they give you a big box, big bag of cables. It is kind of nerve-wracking when you're building a PC to see if you get all the right components that's going to work for everything. Yep, the holes line up. So I guess, let me double check, I guess it only gets anything in the bottom. Nope, there's no holes in the bottom. Yeah, so the power supply, I guess, only gets attached from the holes in the back. Let me, I'm going to read the manual for the case because to me it seems like there should be more holding that power supply in than that. Okay, I watched a video on the case, and basically they install the power supply after they put the motherboard in the case, and I assume it's because of that, because there's nothing to support the power supply. So I decided to change gears and kind of follow the same order they followed. So we got the motherboard here. I took my socks off. I'm in the kitchen, linoleum floor. I just touched the oven, which is grounded. So I should be good. There's the motherboard. It is heavy. And there's some motherboard accessories. Take them out. On one of my previous build videos, someone commented that when I built the motherboard up, I sat it on the ESC bag, and they said don't do that. So the video I just watched, the guy sat it on top of the motherboard box, so that's what I'm going to do. And first thing we'll do is install the processor. So I went with a Core i9 12th gen, so unlocked, so 12,900K. I almost did this. This was on sale with a NewEgg sale, and its price is guaranteed. Its price dropped. I almost did go with the 13th gen, which is a little newer, but I decided it was $200 more. And I decided that I probably didn't need all that extra. So I figured this would be fast enough for my needs. In reality, so why did I decide to build this computer? There's several reasons. The number one reason is when I edit anything over 1080p, like 2.7K for my drone videos, I have to pre-render the video. Like I drag all the videos into my timeline. I'm using Cyberlink Power Director, and then I had to pre-render it before I can edit it, because if I try to edit it, it's not going to, I can't edit it smoothly. Like I can't, the video lags and the timeline gets all messed up. So I got to pre-render it. So on some videos, it takes like an hour to pre-render. So I wanted to get more into editing 4K. So I definitely need a new computer. I do a lot of Fusion 360 projects, and with that 3D scanner I bought, if you have a lot of polynomials, it really bogs down the computer. So I wanted to get a new computer for that. There's a little triangle down here in the bottom left hand corner, and there's a little triangle down here on the motherboard. So I'm going to hold it by the sides. And just drop it in there like that. Okay, it's in there. Place this down. Yeah, it's definitely in there. That had a weird sound that had me second guessing. And processor is installed. Yeah, so for the 3D scans, I could have used a faster computer. And then finally, my one mechanical drive, I have two mechanical drives I use inside that computer. One of them is 10 years old, and the other one is probably 8 years old. So I needed to do something about that because, you know, they're just a ticking time bomb. Okay, so I'm going to install the M2 drive. I got this one from Amazon. Oh yeah, so I bought everything from NewEgg, but some things I bought from Amazon because it was a better price. So this was $100 off of Amazon, 2 terabytes. I thought that was pretty good. The one in my computer now is 500. It has this fancy heat shrink over the heat sink, which I never heard of before. Is this you got to peel off the tape. Put it in there. Oh, there we go. Place it down. Oh, so you place it down, it just clicks in. And then there's tape on this back side, so peel the cover off. Yeah, so for the past 2 months, I've been, like I said, I can't believe it's been almost exactly 5 years since I built my last computer. And then when I checked the YouTube video the time before that, it was 5 years. So it's kind of funny how it seems like every 5 years I'm building a computer. But yeah, for the past month, I've been wanting to build a month, 2 months. Well, actually since the beginning of the year, but I was seriously looking at prices and looking at what equipment was out there for the past month. And when the NewEgg had this sale and there was a decent graphics card, like I said, a 4080 for $1,000, I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and do it. Okay, so now we're going on to the memory. A DDR5. Got this on sale too. I'll put the price on it. Got 4 sticks of 16 gigabytes. It's kind of funny, I was talking to my friend Garrett about building this, and I got confused and I thought I bought 4 8 gigabyte sticks. And as I was talking to him about it, because I want to switch from CyberLink PowerDirector to DaVinci Resolve. So as I was talking to him about it, I thought I bought 32 gigabytes of RAM. So I checked it. I checked DaVinci Resolve's, you know, what they recommend. And they recommend at least 16 gigabytes. And then the minimum requirements is 16 gigabytes. They recommend, but they do recommend Let's see, which way does this go? This way, definitely. They recommend 32 plus. And he was telling me, yeah, for video editing, you're going to need more RAM. And then I was at work. I couldn't see my NewEgg order because NewEgg has this weird thing where they don't send you the actual order details in your email. They just send you a link that you had to log into your NewEgg account, and I didn't have my password. So I thought I only bought 32 gigabytes. And I was doing the math and looking at price of RAM. I was like, man, I didn't get a good deal at all because, you know, I actually got in a lot more memory for how much I paid for it. And I thought I was getting a deal. And then later on, I went back home and realized, oh no, I actually did buy 64 gigabytes. So I thought that was funny. He's a fan of Mac, and when it comes to video editing, yeah, that should be the right one. When it comes to video editing, it seems like Mac is really killing it. He bought a Mac Mini. Like, you kind of get more for your money with Mac. I guess it's because they really have it set up with their silicon manufacturing. They manufacture their own silicon. But I just could not switch to Mac. I thought about it. I just, you know, I just couldn't make the step to switch to Mac. I like having a Windows. Okay, and last one. Okay. And the motherboard is complete. Okay, we'll install the motherboard. It's hard to get a good angle, but there's already 9 standoffs installed in the case. So I don't have to install them. And there's 9 holes in the motherboard. Oh, hold on. Actually, let me check because I might have to install the water cooler on the motherboard first, but I might have access to the water cooler from the backside. Okay, I had some things I had to calculate or figure out, and basically I need to return something and buy something else. So basically going into this, I bought a 240 millimeter radiator water cool for the CPU because this case only allows 240 millimeters to go to the top. When I was watching that build video, which I just found today, he showed how to install 360 millimeters in the front by he removes these fans, put the radiators in the front, put 2 fans on the top and 1 fan on the back. And I thought that was a good idea. And I was going back and forth. Some people said that 240 millimeter fan will cool the i9 fine. And then when I Google searched on like the Linus Tech Tips forum, people said no, you should get a 360 to really make sure it stays cool. I don't know if I'll actually be using it enough to actually need that. But, you know, I don't want to keep on rebuilding the computer. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to return that 240 since I got it off of Amazon and they have no problem returning things. And I'm going to get the 360. So I already ordered that. The one thing I had to figure out was if the graphics card, which I don't have yet, would fit with the radiator in the front, because I didn't realize how these cases work. And when I looked up the graphics card, the max length, and converted it to inches, it was like 12.5 inches. So if I go from the back here to here, it's from this cutout, it's 12.75 inches. So if I have the radiator in the front, the graphics card should fit. I mean, it's going to be less than an inch between the graphics card and the radiator. There's all sorts of things going back and forth through that, because when you do it that way, you're actually sucking in air and heating it up and pushing hot air in. But that guy in that video said that he'd rather have the CPU cooler. So I don't know. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if you, I guess you suck in air this way and you set up these fans to suck in air down, and then all the rest of the air will go out the back and the bottom. But yeah, I'm going to stop for the moment and wait for that cooler to come in. Oh, I am going to mount the motherboard, because you can mount the motherboard, because with this cutout here, you can get to the back side of the motherboard in order to put the mount on for the AIO. Okay, I changed my mind again. It's the same day, but I was getting ready to not work on this anymore today, and I decided to finish watching that PC build I was watching. And with his graphics card, he was unable to fit the graphics card in with the radiator and a fan in the front. Even though when I did the measurement, I measured it should fit. His didn't fit. So I typed in his graphics card. I looked up the length, which was 323 millimeters. Looked up the length of my graphics card, which is 322 millimeters. So basically, even though I don't have my graphics card, apparently it's not going to fit with the radiator in the front. So I did more research going back and forth, and I was looking at I started looking at other people's builds, and I did notice that a lot of people have 240 millimeter AIOs on their computer. So I'm just going to take the chance and do it, and we'll see what my temperatures is. Apparently, these should be set for inlet. The AIO should be set for exhaust, and so should the rear, which I actually don't have a rear one, so I'll have to, I might have to buy a rear fan. So we're going to continue on with this build with the 240 millimeter AIO, and hopefully, I won't regret it. We'll see what the temperatures will be. Okay, so very carefully. That graphics card must have been a really good buy, because when I checked NewEgg to check what the length of it was, it's out of stock. And it's funny, the build video I watched was pretty much the same graphics card as that, just the 3070. So, hopefully it was a good buy. Another thing I've noticed, and it's going to be interesting to see if that graphics card is going to require any additional bracketing. To hold it up, since it's such a big one. That graphics card doesn't have any RGB LEDs. Typically, even though I did get the RGB LED all-in-one cooler, typically I don't really care about how my PC case looks. I'm not into all that. Okay, so now we got I already submitted a return claim to Amazon. I'm going to have to cancel that. But Amazon's usually really good about that kind of stuff. Okay, I might have to find the instructions on what brackets to use. Oh, they actually, so there's actually instructional videos. So I'm gonna go and do some research. Okay, I went and I started second guessing myself again on whether I should have the top exhaust or intake, because guys said that your CPU will run 10 degrees cooler if it's intake. But after going back and forth and reading what people say, a lot of people say exhaust out. So according to the manual, the according to the manual, the it's pre-exempt, it's pre-assembled air exhaust out. So we're good on that. Okay, we got to remove the CPU fan, which is already done because I didn't have a CPU fan. So then they want you to prepare the head. By taking these two brackets. It does not say. Oh, these aren't the right brackets. No wonder. Okay, so it says take these two brackets and use 2 screws. AMD. In here, these 2 screws. Okay, let me get a tray for this. I thought I had a. Okay, I'll use this as a tray. Okay, so according to this, the ridges should be up like this. And then this screw goes into here. And then it specifically says on this other side, you need to watch the wiring. So prepare the back plate. The funny part is it shows, oh, there's, so this back plate is barely stepped like they say. But okay, so this goes on the bottom. Then it shows so these 1, 2, 3, 4, and then definitely goes like this. The funny part is they're slotted, so I have no idea. I guess they... Some of them slide, some of them don't. I want to put them all in. Okay, they're all in. And then you're supposed to take the grommets and put on top. No, it actually says. It actually says on here for Intel they need to be on the outside. But it says it on the next step. Okay, so let me put this on the outside. I had a 50% shot and I guessed wrong. Okay, they want you to put the washers on the motherboard. Okay, they want you to put these black washers on the motherboard. Okay, then they want you to put the bracket on. They want this notch pointed down. Okay, so now I'm going to hold this back here, try to lift it up, and then put the standoff and washer in the front. Okay, I got them all finger tight. One thing to check out for is I thought I had it on finger tight, but I looked on the back side of the board and the insert, one of the inserts wasn't in. So I put the insert in, and so it's the back side is flush, and these are all finger tight. Okay, now it's time for the thermal paste, which I'm going to use the thermal paste that was included. I didn't buy any extra thermal paste. And the video I watched, the guy said to do an X and 4 dots. Which I was just going to do 1 dot in the center. But he said do an X and 4 dots. So, and then you want to take off the tape that is underneath the cooler. And the fan then goes on top. So you want to keep these wires straight. And then I'm just going to go slowly. Okay, that's it. Okay, now we need to mount the radiator. Oh, also, off camera, I plugged in the CPU fan cable. Okay, and then if I take my excess cable, try to start it in the back here. There's a little hole. To get it started, I can pull the excess through. Okay, and I guess I'll be just like that. Gotta find the right screws. So there's going to be 8 of these screws. And it looks like there's going to be room to slide stuff around. So I had to make a decision on if I'm gonna slide it to the front or the rear. It would be the rear of the case. Okay, I went ahead and did things without filming it because my battery was dead. But basically, one thing you did miss is even though there was a connector for the RGB LEDs for this light up here, I disconnected it and connected it into the RGBD port for the motherboard. I also took all the case plugs and plugged them all in and tucked the wires back appropriately. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the power supply and install the SSD drive, and then I think I'm going to try to clean the counter a little bit, and maybe we'll even fire it up and try to install Windows without the graphics card, because we can always do that later. Okay, as you can see, the wires are getting very messy, but hopefully I can get them nice and clean up later. So we're going to go back to what I was going to do first, which was install... Oh, I flipped it around, had the wrong side of the case. Install the power supply in the case. And 4. Okay. Now we're going to have to go through the cabling for the power supply, which was that big bunch of cables right over here. Okay, it's funny, on my first, when I was looking back on my YouTube video, my first computer build, I had a problem. And the problem was I forgot that the motherboard takes 2 connectors. Although, we might have a little problem there. It's going to be hard to plug in that one with the, what do you call it in place? Okay, I'm going to have to look at the menu, the motherboard information, because there's 2 CPU connectors up there, so I got to figure out what's going on. Okay, just to bring you up to speed, I connected the power supply. I went and I took my old DVD drive that was from my Windows XP, so this thing's probably like 15 years old. I connected it up because I need a way to install Windows 11 since it's on a DVD. Obviously, I don't have any wire management. Up here on the motherboard, tucked up there, which you can't see, there is, maybe you can see it from up here. Maybe you can see it from up here. There is 2 CPU power plugs on this motherboard, so that's the first time I ever encountered that. And then, of course, you have your main motherboard plug right there. I bought 2 brand new Samsung 24-inch monitors for this build because I wanted dual monitor, and I bought them at Best Buy. They had a 24-inch monitor on sale with a NewEgg sale, but it was Gigabyte. But I just kind of have brand loyalty with Samsung for monitors, so I unpackaged one. And then I also hooked up, I bought a brand new, I've been jonesing for one of these Cherry mechanical keyboards, and I got the blue switches, which are nice and loud. So I figured to go all out. I've been wanting one of these keyboards for a while. So I figured we'll power her up, do the Blackmagic smoke test, and install Windows 11. And then, yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I mess up on anything. Power switch in the back. And then Boy, the fans are super quiet. I didn't even hear them run. These front case fans are running. Or the fans on top on the radiator are running too. HDMI 1 on the monitor display port. Nothing out of display port. Wonder if I can keep it on display port. Does this thing only have one button? Oh, it has one of those. Source. Display port. So, nothing. Wonder if it needs HDMI. Okay, so here's an update. I searched online. They said it could be bad RAM. So I unplugged 2 RAM modules, turned it back on, and still nothing. So as I'm trying to search what it was doing, all of a sudden it started rebooting itself, then it came on. So then I turned it off, plugged those 2 RAM modules back in, turned it back on, and it came back on. So then oh yeah, and the funny thing is it's only working on HDMI, and I had to seal the HDMI cable from my current computer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to go and load Windows. That way, hopefully, I can load Windows. Once I load Windows, I can use the display port. And you see, that's my first indication. All of a sudden, the keyboard lit up. So you see, it sees the DVD drive, and it sees the 4 sticks. It's funny, it's running it at 4800, even though there's 6000. I don't know what the compatibility is. It sees the processor, so everything looks good. CPU temp is good right now. So I'm going to go and plug in, go and load Windows 10. I bought a copy of Windows 10 for my last computer. I'm going to reuse it, and hopefully they won't bust me on the product codes. I think they shouldn't, because, you know, it's a paid for copy. It is registered to another computer, but I don't know how that works if they only flag it after several registers. Okay, so let's see. What do? We do save and exit. What is it, 10? Are you sure? Yes. See if it automatically boots off that disk. Sounds like it is. Press any key to boot from CD or DVD drive. I didn't get a chance to actually press it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'm going to leave this build out on the kitchen counter for a while until I can switch over my computers. I probably can't switch over my computers for at least another month, because I'm working on my final project, and I need to use my desktop for my final project since I have all the AVR Atmel stuff loaded on that, and I don't feel like reloading it, and I'm already behind on that final project. I tried to use Raspberry Pi Pico for that final project, and it got so discouraging that I decided to switch over to AVR. Okay, we're gonna load Windows. Let's see. Language, English. I don't have a mouse plugged in. So English, US, next. Install now. Okay, so we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, it's installing it now. It's installed a 2 terabyte drive, but it said it was only 1800 gigabytes. And the reason I decided to stick with Windows 11, first off, I didn't stick with Windows 10 is first off, I didn't feel like paying for 11. Second of all, I watched a video. Now the video was from a year ago where they take the same processor I'm using, the 12900K, and they bench test it with Windows 11 and Windows 10, and it actually came out faster on Windows 10. So yeah, hopefully once I get this Windows 10 installed, I can run the computer off the DisplayPort, and then I can plug the HDMI back into my other computer. Okay, so it successfully installed Windows 10. Didn't take long at all. And then it popped up saying that if it wanted to load gigabyte drivers. And I went and hit yes, and it said you needed a network connection. So I hooked it up, and then I accidentally pressed the wrong key. So I'm hoping if by restarting it... oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah, I was hoping that by restarting it, it would download that. I don't know how it knew that this motherboard is gigabyte. And then I'm going to try to, after this, I'm going to try to switch it to DisplayPort so I can use my old computer. Okay, I'm going to call this done for the night. I was able to get all the LEDs synced using this program Signal RGB. And basically, I have the Arctic Freeze LEDs being controlled by the motherboard ARGB port. And then the fan LEDs are being controlled by the controller in the back, the IQ controller. And the software is able to control the keyboard and the mouse. So I'm usually not into that kind of stuff, but I was able to get it all synced up pretty easily without too much fuss. I just had to, on Reddit, someone said that this program will do them all, and it sure did. So I'm going to stop there. Probably not going to do anything till the graphics card comes. And when the graphics card comes, I'll put that in. I got to put the other hard drive in, and try to do some wire management. Oh, and also one more thing. I found out that the DisplayPort on the motherboard is just for an input, apparently. It's not an output, so you had to use HDMI on the motherboard. So that's why I had to wait for the graphics card to come in. I only have one HDMI cable, so like I said, I'm swapping between my other PC, and I got to keep my other PC running for the moment. Okay, thanks for watching. Well, not thanks for watching. I'm going to... you'll see me in the jump cut. Okay, so we're back. The graphics card came in the other day. So I'm going to install that. Hopefully this will be future-proof, get me through the next 5 years. Like I said, the main goal of this computer is to edit 4K video easily. So I got a GeForce RTX 4080. I know the newest one is a 4090, but I didn't think it was worth the extra $500. And like I said, this one was on sale. I got it for $1,000. So let's install that. But before I do that, I'm going to install the mechanical drive in the back. I bought a Western Digital Black 8 terabytes. I got this off of Amazon. It's one of those things that I just have brand loyalty with Western Digital. I never had a failed hard drive. So I never had a hard drive lose my data. On my Windows XP computer, it seemed like the hard drive failed. But after I built a new computer, I was able to dump all that hard drive data forward. But yeah, so I'm going to install this in the back, and then we'll get that graphics card in there. Okay, this computer has spots for 2 mechanical drives and 2 SSD drives up here. And the mechanical drives have these trays. So these little tabs go in this side like that. So pretty much I wonder if you even need to screw it. There is a spot for 4 screws, so I think I am going to screw it. I need to find these counter sunks, these flathead screws for this. Okay, so then let me zoom up here. It just slides into this tray. Clicks in, and I'm going to have to figure out, I already have the SATA cable ran back here from when I had the DVD drive in here. So just plug this in, or is it upside down? Wonder if I had to use a different SATA cable. I need like a straight SATA cable. Let me see what other SATA cables I have. Yep, I have a straight SATA cable. And then I already have this SATA power cable that I'm using for, the only thing I have plugged into it is this LED controller. So I guess I'll go and plug this in like this. Okay, now we're ready for the fun part, the graphics card. Okay, since this is the single most expensive part of the whole build, I guess I'll do a proper unboxing. And my kitchen's a mess from this build. I'm running out of space. So the only place I have space is on the stove. And there it is. Okay, this was one thing I was wondering if it did come with the support bracket, and it does. It says, warning, please use 3 individual PCIe cables from the power supply to avoid any possible issues. So there's a splitter, 1 cable into 3. So hopefully I have enough cables for that. I wonder how exactly this, hopefully there's instructions on how that's supposed to work. And there's the card. And that's everything. Okay, it says I need to remove 2 of these covers, but I don't know, do I need to go one above or one below the connector? So I'm going to go, and I assume I put it into the silver PCIe connector. So here it is. There's a cover on the connector. Moment of truth, if the case can fit this card. So actually, instead of two cover plates, it actually takes up 3, and it's the 3 below the connector. Okay, it clicked in. And you know, I probably could have put, there's probably enough room. My measurements were correct the first time. There was probably enough room to put a radiator here in the front. Which is weird because that's what I calculated, but then when I watched the video, that guy had a graphics card that apparently was the same length as mine. Okay, so let me put all the screws back in. Yeah, so the instructions said that it took up 2 slots. It takes up 3 slots and has 3 screws. Now, when I was looking about this, you know, everyone has an opinion online. When I was looking about this support bracket to anti-sag bracket, I guess they call it, people say that it's fine without it. But most of the people who don't want to put on the bracket don't want to put on the bracket because of looks. I'm not really too concerned about that. So I'm going to try to figure out how to put on the bracket. I'm surprised that there's no instructions on how to use that bracket though. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the holes lining up. Seems a little janky, but okay, let's get it vertical and see what happens. It is resting on the rubber. Needs to kind of bend in a little bit. Yeah, the support bracket's pretty much a joke. Or anti-sag bracket. Okay, the anti-sag bracket's pretty much a joke. You see it? But the rubber is sitting on there, so maybe it'll do some help. And hopefully this cable being up against these heat sinks won't be a problem. But if I put it up there, it's going to put pressure on the graphics card. Okay, so then we go and plug in the power adapter. Oh, it goes like this. Okay, and then we had to have 3 separate PCIe. So hopefully, okay, so PCIe. I don't like this PCIe because it has a split on it, which that's what they're telling. Oh, I'm not in camera, I'm zooming in. You see how this has a Y? They're telling you not to use this. They're telling you to use the straight through PCIe. Okay, I have all 3 power cables plugged in. Let's see if we can let out the black magic smoke. I am going to try to boot into BIOS because I do want to show you guys something about the LEDs that I had to figure out. So we should be good to go. So we hit delete to go into BIOS. Okay, so we're in BIOS, and I just want to show you here, let me zoom in. I just want to point out, if your LEDs are staying on, if you go into Settings, Power Platform, and this ERP, enable it. If you enable it, it will turn off the LEDs when you shut down. I had a problem that the LED is controlled by the motherboard when it shut down. But when you enable it, all that's going to prevent, you can't wake on mouse click anymore. Or you can't boot on a mouse click. Continue, quit without saving, yes. Okay, the fans are going for the graphics card. Okay, so I'm actually I still have the HDMI plugged in off the motherboard. So I'm going to install the drivers and then we'll try to switch over to the display port on the graphics card. Okay, so man, I really had to jump through a lot of hoops to get this working. But basically, I could not get the drivers installed, but the problem was that Windows needed to be updated. But it didn't really make that apparent at first. So I updated Windows, which took a while. Installed the driver. Then I couldn't get the display port to work. And it turns out I was an idiot and I didn't have the display port fully plugged into the monitor. But anyway, it's all working now. And I went and I formatted the 8 terabyte Western Digital hard drive. And it's all done. So I'm going to go on the back side. Hopefully I can get the cables all cleaned up and then close up the case and then that'll be it. Okay, on the back side I did kind of stuff the wires back there, so I tried to clean it up. But I figured, no one's ever going to see it. Not like anything's getting pinched. Oh yeah, here's some ASMR. I want to wait to peel off the front until I'm ready to install the computer. And then the front. Okay, more ASMR. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So actually, I'll probably just yeah, I'll end the video here. That's installing my new computer. Hopefully I get at least 5 years out of it. Probably going to make another video of me actually installing it on my desk over there. I'm going to undo everything. I need to vacuum out. It's all dusty there. I've been in the house 7 years. And I'm going to try to set up the cabling so it's nice and neat. So that might be another video of me just setting up that desk. But yeah, like I said, I like to document my PC builds. And this is my 2023 PC build. And yeah, it came out pretty good. I'll see you on the next one.